time, weather.
Now for the Forge Podcast. Question for you. What's the power of your testimony if it's never shared? This is the Forge Podcast. Matt.
What's going on, man?
Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Good, dude. This is cool.
Yeah.
So,
fun, huh? Neat up here.
Yeah, I've never been back here before. This is different.
Yeah.
I like it.
Did you ever do plays in church, like as a kid?
No, I didn't. Sorry, growing up Catholic, I was part of like the nativity scene, I think when I was like 4. And then we did I was telling my wife about this with Palm Sunday the other day, but like we did it was like every single year we would read through. It was the only time that we really spent a lot of time in the Gospels or, read like long lengths of scripture. We'd read basically the entire Passion of Christ from like the triumphal entry into like on Palm Sunday, we would do that. And then we would do it again, on like Good Friday and then on Easter. And so they would often like act it out. And so it was like 40 minutes that you just have to sit there and wait for your lines.
But you got to at least go backstage like that. That's like me. Yeah. What I'm bringing up is like the fact that we got to walk behind the worship center.
Yeah, I was an altar boy, so I was back there all the time, man, lighting candles, and
it's fun. Like I don't know, something about being behind stage at church.
It just feels like you're not supposed to be back here. I feel like I'm like I broke in.
Every time we walk through, I'm like, man, this feels like wrong. Like, what if somebody sees us? Like,
I know. You had like the little key fob to get back here, and I was like, man, this is official.
This
is legit.
That's right.
Yeah.
They called me a high level volunteer.
Okay.
So
all right, hey, that's good. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. So, dude, I'm excited to talk to you. We've seen each other in passing. We've got to chat now that we've scheduled this. Chat a few times, running into each other at the gym.
Twice.
A couple of gym rats here.
Yeah,
huh?
I know. It was funny. I was, again, telling my wife, I was like, I've seen this guy around for 2 years, easily. Like, if not more. And I've heard about you now in the last 6 months a lot more and more with the podcast coming out. And then I have never seen you. I'm at the gym probably 5 days a week. Yeah. I've never seen you there once. I see you 2 days in a row. And I was like, this is just God being like, hey, you're too busy to connect otherwise.
Dude, I love it. Yeah, it's going to be our jam. I think last time we were talking for like almost 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah. It was good. It was good.
So thanks for coming on. How'd you find out about Forge? Like, how'd you?
So I showed up to church on Sunday. My wife and I had just moved here.
From where?
From Chicago, land area, not Chicago proper. I don't want to offend anybody. So from the burbs. My wife and I both grew up there, and then we moved here in 2021. Just post COVID, we got sent home from work, and they said we don't care where we live. And I was like, great, I'm leaving, and we went to Arizona. So just kind of picked something as different as we could get, and coming to SBC was the second church we went to check out here in the Valley, and I think I saw Jason the first Sunday. He had the little like Forge thing going on. It was right in August timeline. So it was right as Forge was kicking off. And he's like, hey, you should come check this out. It's a men's ministry. And I went that first night and it was just hooked. I sat in Kevin Meyer's group at the time. He was doing like the new guy group thing. And he was among a couple other people that I met that night, like the first normal, quote unquote, church people that I ever really met that weren't like a little different or whatever. And so I was like, oh, man, I can make friends here. And that's kind of why I started coming more consistently. I was like, oh, I can build a community of friends. And it was very little, if I'm being honest with you and myself and everybody else that's listening, about getting like community and being really intentional and growing and,
Wait, you said
the Lord.
It wasn't about that?
It wasn't really. I mean, it was. Like I was probably dovetailing that idea into it, but it was sort of secondary to being like, I just want to meet people. Like I want to find some people that I can hang out with that and like Christian people are good people. So it was like, I'll find some good people I can, kind of vibe with and maybe meet people nearby my house and we can, go get dinner. And
I think you make a good point. For me, I don't know if I'm speaking for all guys, but I don't think we say I need to go find community.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like we don't use that word until you're in it and you're like, oh my gosh, the value of community. Yeah. Great. Let's go. Let's pitch it. Let's tell everybody about it. But I think you're right. You didn't go there saying, I need to find community. You just wanted to find a couple dudes that are kind of normal and you could kind of vibe with, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then, like how you were saying, like Christians can be kind of cool sometimes. And
definitely.
Start there.
I mean, I don't even know if I had that, like, now I do, I guess. I have that like verbiage. There's like some of that Christianese conversation. I feel like find community is definitely a phrase that is found in the Christian church.
Community is?
Find community. I'm going to go find community. It's important to find community.
Right.
Like it's kind of a throwaway phrase I feel like that's sometimes used, but it's super intentional. It's definitely something that I wouldn't have said or even had that in my head as something to say. But I like in looking back.
Shot. Sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. Just blowing me up.
Yeah. Well, then I'm ruining that shot. Supposed to stay on this side.
You're good. Just kind of narrow shoulders, right? It's all that gym you've been doing.
Yeah.
Just getting
or
too
a
wide.
Baggy sweatshirt.
But yeah, I think in coming in, it was just I didn't have that in my head, but in hindsight, it's what God had for me. He was like, "You're going to find community here. You're going to surround yourself with wise counsel, meet some people that are ahead of you, and learn how to run this race." So,
well, I mean, community, whether it's Christianese or not, we all do it. Whether you're a believer or not, we all want to belong to something.
Yeah.
And we go find it. We all serve a God, right? We all serve something.
Yeah.
And whether, there's a million of them out there, but we want to belong. And we call it community. And because, I mean, even our neighborhoods are called that. Oh, we live in this community. We live in, so.
Yeah, totally.
I wonder if you and I crossed paths in Kevin Meyer's group at all. Maybe you were a year later, because I had gone a little on and off before COVID.
Okay.
And then during COVID, and
I think I might have missed you. I feel like I would have remembered now, like in hindsight. It was a pretty consistent group, actually.
Okay.
Like the crew that we had at the time. There were some new people kind of in and out, but for the most part, it was like a solid 4 or 5 guys that we had for a few weeks, and then we broke off pretty quickly. I think that was at the point too when Kevin started to like identify people more quickly earlier on into the process, and then be like, "Hey, I'm raising you up as a leader," and so he did that with one of our guys, and then we kind of had our own group, and he sort of went off and did his own thing for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I think frustrated me at first was new guys every week. It's like, hey, Joe, you're sharing who you are again every single week, and I was not able to build. It made it difficult to build friendships because this guy would come and you're like, oh, great, and then gone, never to come back again, and that guy and this guy. But that's where the Lord had to say, no, I need you to just be obedient, whether you make friends or not. I need you to get in here and just be obedient and come. I mean, there were times I'd show up at our table. There's 0 people there. One time I walked out. I'm like,
it's just me.
I'm
just
like,
flying solo.
What is the point of this? I could have got. I mean, my attitude was terrible, but
just silence and solitude. God was like, I just need you to be here alone. You were like, I'm heading out.
Yeah,
I'm going back home, get some dinner.
Just keep coming, keep showing up. I'm like, why, God? He's like, you don't need to know the why right now. I just need you to get in the discipline, the habit, and be obedient. Just keep coming.
Yeah, that's something I feel like recently God's been putting on me a lot of like, you don't need to know the why, and you're gonna ask for stuff, and I may give you the total opposite answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I was just reading Habakkuk.
Yeah,
and that's like that. It was the first time I've read it in a long time, and it was the first time I read it intentionally and not just kind of like a cursory, like, this is a short one from the Old Testament, so I'll just knock this out. And you gotta do one of those.
I've done that too.
You're like a couple of the, I mean, it's toward the end too, so you're just kind of like, this is dismal. Sitting in the prophets for a long time, it just feels kind of bleak after a while. But
although Haggai, that's one of my favorites. I'm not kidding. Give careful thought to your ways. Like, we'll talk about it in a minute, but I love Haggai.
Yeah, I had like I said, at least for Habakkuk, I had never really sat in it for a bit, but he kind of cries out to God and is like, why is this happening? Like, all this terrible stuff's happening. I thought you were infinite. He kind of is like mocking God, right? And God says, okay, I'm going to send the Babylonians in, and they're just this ruthless, wicked people that are just going to, and he's like, you call that an answer? Like I asked for help, and where are you? Where are you going to be? And he says, I'm going to make it worse. And it's like, that's not what I wanted. I prayed to not have it be worse. I prayed for this to be better, fix this. And the reality is like that, because that happened, the Jewish people got integrated fully into Rome. Like, and so when Christ came, the story of the gospel spread like wildfire throughout all these teachers and stuff. So God's plan is a lot bigger, I think, than mine, certainly. And we were just talking before this about like just trying to stay day to day. Right. If I start trying to bite off like tomorrow too, in addition to today, I'm just getting exhausted. And God's infinite, man. Yeah. He's got that like future locked down, and in it, oftentimes the today doesn't make sense because his thoughts are about tomorrow. And so that's just been for me, definitely been like where I've been lately with the Lord. So
what's the Forge meant to you? I mean, that's what, 4 years now you've been. So what's the Forge
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
meant to you? And...
Oh, everything. I mean, it's been
all right. That's
community.
It. Everything, folks.
Everything. It's all the stuff.
You got that here. That's it. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like short list community. Obviously, I think I didn't know that I needed that. Wise counsel, great men that are, like I said, running the race way faster than I am and are ahead of me. That I can look to and learn how to do that as well. It's been amazing and integral for our marriage. Being around people that I trust, that my wife trusts, that we trust, that I can be honest and open with, and I can walk through stuff not only in our marriage but in our life together and make those decisions with men that we as a couple, as a union trust. And so that's been for me tremendous. Also being a part of his church and serving the Forge is an awesome place to do that. Like you can really dig your heels in and ask for more, and they'll give it to you.
Right.
And there's a lot of work to go around and a lot of fun or really awesome, exciting ways to engage. It don't feel like work. It doesn't feel like volunteering, or it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm really giving my time. And there's ways to just get engaged. And I think that practical engagement in building his church and showing up, it's almost like a spiritual discipline in a sense where you're kind of, well, it is, I mean, serving in that sense and giving your time in that way. So you're showing up, and like that shows up then in your marriage and in your relationships, and with your kids, or a difficult parent, or a challenging work season. That faithfulness that you build in the rhythm of the Forge is something that transfers over like 1-to-1 to everything else. So it not only helps, but I think builds the skills and practices within you as an individual to go out of the world and just make a difference there.
So where do you serve in the Forge?
So I was leading a table for a while. I burned out. I can get that in a second, a little bit. Yeah, definitely. So and that was my own fault. I want to make that clear. Like, not to go too loud.
You heard that here, folks?
That was my fault that I burned out, not anybody else's. But I help out up front, just help new guys get checked in.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
But go ahead and finish.
Yeah.
But I
definitely
got a couple questions.
Yeah. Well,
maybe one. I might have one.
Yeah. Question. One's fine. I'll take one. Maybe two. We'll talk about it. But yeah, so I help out up front. I've tried to kind of get involved in different ways, like sitting with existing tables and just kind of being there when they need another person. I think, especially some newer guys that are starting to lead a table, kind of being in like another sounding board.
Cool.
Also. So yeah, those are kind of the primary ways I do that. But try to get involved in the men's ministry, like the little ad hoc things that come up, as much as I can too. So, that's been.
So what do you then? So you're responsible for greeting new guys that come in, or regulars.
Yeah.
Right. You're part of the greeting committee.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah. So I'm part of the broader team up there. So I mean, it's.
So what works for you guys? What's an effective way for you guys? There's 4, 5, 6 of you guys.
Probably 8 or 10.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope that it seems kind of like casual. I hope it seems like, hey, just some people helping out up front, but it's very tactful. And it's definitely been led by it started by some really great men and awesome thought leadership in that have, I think, pioneered like how to do that well. And so really just from my involvement, Carrie Lavender tapped me one day, maybe a year and a half ago, and was like, hey, can you get here at 6:10 instead of 6:30? I was like, yeah, I work a lot off East Coast hours, so sure, I can get here at 6:10. And that I kind of got connected that way, and that's just been like such a fun ministry to be a part of, and getting to see new guys come in, week over week. We'll have anywhere from like 8 to 15 in a random Tuesday, and then
how does that present itself?
In what way?
A new guy walks in.
Oh.
Outside of you recognizing that you don't recognize him, how does that present itself?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't recognize as many people as I feel like it's so funny. The Forge has gotten so big now that there's people that I don't know still. But usually the team is very. It's like I said, it's tactful insofar that the guys we have somebody out front who's looking first for new guys, and then Carrie will kind of be a second line of defense for anybody that he doesn't recognize, and Carrie knows everybody. So if a new guy shows up, and at the very least they're getting introduced to Carrie, and then Carrie will bring him over to us kind of at the front, and we'll get him checked in. So that means like getting him in the system. Robert's done a ton of work to get the system set up like super seamless now. So we can get a printed name tag for a guy the first night. It's not a written name tag anymore.
Right.
And then they can kind of head in and, go to their tables.
So step 2 of a new guy, like, you've given me a name tag. What do you do with them? It's like, good luck.
Yeah, so we're
kick them in the doors.
Kind of working on that now. So I'll give you my pitch for what I hope this looks like in the future. Yeah. Right now, it's sort of like mid transition on this. We've gotten pretty big as a ministry, and it's gotten increasingly easier to hide in. On like a Sunday, if you could show up on Sunday, walk in, walk out, and nobody could see you. And when I first started coming to Forge, that would be really hard. With like 80 guys a night. Somebody's going to recognize that you're new and you're going to talk to them at the very least. But I feel like the Forge is kind of getting to a point now that you can almost kind of sneak in and sneak out without being seen. And for us up front, like the vision is to just get out of the way and remove all the hurdles and speed bumps that from like car to table and getting everything in between just kind of as seamless as possible, just to let God do his work in there. And so would love long-term to partner more closely and build a better system and better connective tissue between when we give the guy a name tag, give him a quick rundown like, hey, here's what tonight's going to look like. And then seat. Because right now it's sort of like we'll have some more new guys coming in right now that need to get checked in, that need to get the rundown of sort of like general expectations. And then we're sort of saying like, hey, it's sort of open seating at the beginning too.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to pair guys with a small group because, sometimes small groups don't quite sit together or they'll get up and move around. So you're kind of like, it's open seating, kind of sit anywhere. And after there'll be some more information to come on how to get plugged into a small group. It works best. And what I'd love to live into more is encouraging the people that are currently a part of Forge to start looking and seeking those new guys, those 10 or 15 guys that come in every Tuesday that haven't been to the Forge before, and looking for them and grabbing them and pulling them into your small group that way. And it's more organic in that sense. And it also, like, as men, I'm sure there's some guys that are going to object to this and be like, no, that's not me. I'm not like that. But, general rule of thumb, I feel like if there's any hurdle, they'll turn tail and run. So it's like, there's traffic. I'm not going. The kid's a little sick. I'm not going or whatever. And any reason to not show up is perfect reason enough. So if we're really busy up front and we have too many people in line to get checked in, like I've seen guys kind of just be like, oh, there's 4 people ahead of me. I'm not tonight. And they'll go home. And it's like, you made it all the way here and you're in the door and you turn around and go. And I know, for myself, like this ministry has meant so much for myself, for my family, for my marriage, for, getting roots here in Arizona. My heart just breaks for them. It's like, you're missing it. This is the secret sauce, and you're just kind of, and for whatever, individual reasons those are, if you stayed in this room for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, like this will change your life long term if you invest in this ministry. And it's a story I've heard time and time again from every guy that shows up to the Forge. It's like, dude, this is it. This is the church. This is his body. And, like you got marriage issues, come on down. You got substance issues, come on down. You just are wandering. You think everything's fine. I promise there's something going on underneath the surface that's itching at you. Like, we'll help you figure out what that is and we'll make you better for it. And it's just, that's the vision for me with the Welcome team. It's just getting out of the way and getting guys connected into groups efficiently and effectively. And kind of, your shirt says Fishers of Men. I feel like that's, very much the case with our current, leaders and regulars is like, you guys are coming and I love that you're faithful in doing that. Like, how can we think about extending that love that you've received, and the care that you've received through the Forge to other men that are showing up as well. And a lot of guys do that really well. So I'm certainly not an indictment of anybody, at the Forge. I feel like that's a ministry that already is awesome in that regard, but how can we be even better? How can we live more faithfully to do that effectively?
So what excites you right now? What excites you about the Lord, about...
I think, so a few things. So spiritual disciplines for me has been like my thing recently, specifically around fasting. It's been super top of mind. It's not something I have a lot of experience with, so I'll like unpack this live with you. But
did you get that other fasting book?
I haven't yet. Okay. No. So I have it on hold right now. Yeah. So I'm TBD, Phoenix Library System, man. We'll see. That might be like 8 months. I just have to buy it. But yeah, I feel like it's something that God's been putting in front of me a lot recently, and it coupled more broadly with this general idea of like loving Him and abiding in Him. That was kind of where my head was at for the last few months, and then going up to the retreat, and that's what the retreat was about. Right. Is like how to abide in the Lord. I heard this Yeah, perfect. Exactly. Did you make that?
I made that.
Okay, I figured as much. It looks sweet.
Like, I love what it says. I mean,
yeah.
And if you can wrap your head around what it means to just be a branch,
yeah,
it's everything.
Just be a branch.
Be a branch, attached to the vine. Let the Holy Spirit be the sap and flow through you and work in you, and it will naturally create your fruit on the end.
Yeah.
I thought.
I'm
like, I have to wear that.
It's perfect. I mean, the illustration that he had was great, but moreover, like the scripture around it is just such a beautiful. It takes all the pressure off. Like, just love me. Just love me. That's it. Yeah. Just abide in me, care for me, love me, seek me, and you will find like so much life and so much joy. And I was reading again, like flipping through some notes. I read "Practicing the Way" by Comer a few years ago, or maybe a year ago now. And
it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's great. And he has a line in the book that's like, we are shaped far more by what we love than what we believe to be true. And that was upsetting to hear because I'm like a believe to be true guy. I want to historically, like my profession, what I do for work, what I do in the way that I operate, like I'm pretty type A, I want to know the information around it. And so when I first came to the Lord, it was like all about the understanding the information at hand. So it's like, how can I read scripture such that I know it in my head? And I expected that over time. I think not maybe consciously, but unconsciously expected that to be something that was transformative. It was like, if I learn this and know it, then I'll know the information. I got the keys to the castle, and I'm good to go. And nothing changed. It was like, now I just know all this stuff, and it's sort of just like, now I just feel guilty about it, about not doing it. So that was the transformation for me. Was I went from ignorance to knowledge, and now guilt about not having a changed life, and still having the same sin pattern, and still having this pride creep up in a weird way in my marriage, or like excessive drinking, and like just little things like that I just couldn't shake. And it was really until I think that idea of loving the Lord first, it came into my head, like first as in number one, not first as in like when that first happened. But when that first happened, not to walk back on that, but like that was where I really fell into this transformation and really started to see like pick up more steam and feel like I'm like moving forward towards something. And in the last few months, just through the spiritual disciplines, which is something I've never really explored. I think some of them I just did naturally well. Prayer, silence and solitude, those things I've kind of always had built in just because it's been part of like my rhythms. But around fasting in the last few months, God's just been putting it in front of me, and I keep being like, no, this is weird. I don't want to do this. Yeah. So it's been, that's definitely been top of mind for me.
It's such a great exercise in, we talk about denying our flesh and how, we're in a battle against the flesh. And our guys at Ford's, I think we talked about this at the gym. It's a great exercise, even for a 24-hour fast. Yep. If you want to hear what your flesh sounds like, fasting will help you hear your flesh. Yeah. It'll give voice to this concept of dying to flesh. Like, what does that mean? And so do a 24-hour fast, and then I always say, go stare at a saltine. Yeah. Your body will beg you for a saltine cracker that is, good maybe when you're sick. Yeah. With some soup, but it's like your flesh is crying out. It's like, give me that. And as Paul says, we can command our flesh to come underneath the spirit. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's a great exercise to understand where the flesh is, what it sounds like, and then you can apply that to, all the other different lust of money, lust of, sexual sin. Men, we deal with that every day, right? Yeah. There's that temptation every day along every path. And so fasting is a great way to at least, especially when you're starting out, to understand the tenor of that voice of the flesh. I think it's fascinating. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, like you said, I feel like the rice cakes will start singing at you after 24 hours, and it's like normally pass those up every single time in the pantry. Every time. And from it's been amazing how much more intentional you can be around this like with the Spirit and how much more top of mind it is in your day. I feel like that's where I get lost the most is like my work day. It's like I'm busy, man. I got a lot going on. I got this meeting. I'm thinking about like 8 or 10 different things that I got to get done and emails I got to send and people I got to call. And if you're hungry though, you're thinking about it. You're also thinking about lunch. You're thinking about food. And it's one thing, like I miss breakfast a lot. Sometimes I'll miss breakfast and lunch and make it to dinner. And I've unintentionally done a 24-hour fast. Yeah. But that was not for the Lord. That was, happenstance and mostly drove annoyance more than anything else. And so switching that to like, I'm going to fast for 24 hours. I'm going to fast for 48 hours for the Lord. Makes those moments where you go like that hunger pain creep up. You think about lunch. You're thinking about an email, but then you're thinking about lunch too. It makes it like I'm thinking about an email, and I'm thinking about the Lord too. Yep. And it's that practice, that rhythm of I'm thinking about God all the time in everything that I'm doing. And I hear that a lot. I've said it a bunch, and I'm sure continue to say it. It's like, how do you think about God all day long? Like, how do I dwell in Him all day long? And I think fasting is like the perfect practice for that. It is not like a requirement. It's not a thing that you need to do, but it is like, how do you get good at stuff? You practice it, and fasting is like an awesome way to practice that.
And Jesus tells us that it's also another weapon of our warfare. Yeah. When the disciples said, why couldn't we cast them out? He's like, well, this one comes out with prayer and fasting. Right. And so what he's saying there is that this is an element of spiritual warfare that helps. Yeah. Like they could cast some out, and this one they couldn't. Like the way I always think about it is it clears the conduit. It clears the vent pipe for the anointing to flow through. Yeah. The more we deny ourselves, the more the Lord can work. Yeah. And so I think Jesus is alluding to that, or he's not even alluding. He's saying, there is some spiritual warfare that requires not only prayer, but fasting.
Yeah, definitely. And like for anybody that thinks it's kind of a weird thing like I did, like growing up Catholic, you fast on Fridays during Lent, which mostly means you just kind of feel bad that you're not fasting on Fridays during Lent. Yeah. At least that was my experience with it. So like, it's something that I kind of always thought was a sort of odd thing that, super hyper religious people did. But the reality is, like, if you read Scripture, you read the Gospels, the wording around fasting, Jesus says, when you fast, do you not do as the hypocrites do, and, on and on. But the implication is when. It's not like if you should or might you fast or if you find yourself fasting. It's like when you fast. That's the expectation from Christ, is that you will fast. It's implied, And so it needs to be, I think, a more integral part of our spiritual disciplines today. I think it's something that like the modern church misses a lot.
So what are your thoughts on, because even in the Old Testament, the Lord imposed fasts like through famine on his people. And that nothing will bring you back to the source more than I don't have food, but he imposed fasts on them. I mean, it wasn't a fast, but it kind of was, but it wasn't, it was, famine, but it's being without, sustenance, right? And that brought them back. Like if does that make sense? I'm not really making I don't know if I'm making a point or if I find it fascinating that in the Old Testament the Lord would cause famines, and that would help the hearts of his people to turn back to him.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely builds our reliance, right? Like we were just talking to before this that around fasting, like we're both doing a fast right now, like actively currently are hungry. And I, decided exactly right. I've decided that I'm going to fast on Tuesdays, like from Monday night to Wednesday morning, and just come into the forge just so hungry for something, for God, like fully relying on the Lord. And that has really changed and shaped how I quietly, like internally, am approaching the ministry of the Forge or other men or conversations that I have. And it's something that I think like the idea of an imposed fast or God putting a stumbling block in your way to turn him back to you is, electing to do that is something that you can choose to enter into reliance on him versus having it, having it forced upon you.
I'd rather choose.
Yeah, by nudge or by ashes, I think is another thing that I heard recently. Yeah. So, you can do it by nudge or by ashes. So
I'll go with the nudge. Yeah.
I'll take a nudge.
So has it been, how many weeks have you been doing this fast?
So this fast from Monday night, or do you mean like
your Monday night to Wednesday morning?
Oh, just a few weeks. So like maybe 4 or 5 weeks now. So not super long. And it's gotten interrupted where, last week my wife the baby got sick and I had to head home, and it was like not the day to be like, we won't have dinner tonight. We're not getting takeout. Yeah, forget it. You're on your own. You got to make a smoothie. It was like, this is a day, to be more present with my wife.
But are you finding, what have you found?
It's been tremendous. Like, just that reliance in that, like, going back to the idea of choosing to love God and look at him. It's really, really hard when you're fasting to look at anything else other than God. Because it's like, I'm so needy right now. And it's a place of need. And, it's easy, I think, in this, particularly Scottsdale as well, to have this culture of like, I got it. I got everything I need. I have my, cars. I have my house. And we're so blessed abundantly in all of our possessions. Anything materially that we need, for the most part, is met. I mean, even just by nature of living in America, like, you have access to grocery stores that other countries just don't.
Right.
I mean, even developed nations don't have access to a Costco. And it's like, that is an unbelievable gift and blessing. And it's so easy to become complacent and comfortable with that fasting, I think, is a intentional practice around denying self for reliance on the Lord that leads to just all your attention's on God, because you're not thinking about anything else. And it's funny too, like, you realize how reliant you are on his creation as well.
Yeah.
Like, I need his animals and I need his plants. I need his earth to provide for me.
Yeah.
And if I don't have that for 9 hours or 10 hours, I'm like starting to itch for it. And after 24 or 36 hours, I am dying for his creation. And it really connects you deeply, I think, with the Father. And that idea of being a branch is so much easier when you're like, I just need you right now. I'm not trying to focus on doing good works or being involved in his church or being a part of, ministry in a meaningful way or whatever. It's like, how can I get you, because you're what I need right now. And I think that is definitely something that I'm trying to lean into more. And again, I'm not trying to say I got it all figured out with this fasting thing, like trying to unpack it real time, but it's something for sure God's been asking of me for a while, and I've been running from. And so I've started leaning into it, and it's the best.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Forge Podcast.